Hello, everyone. Thank you for a chance to share some experience with you. My name is Ilya, and I am a web developer at Swedbyte. Today, I will tell you how you can run into some bigger customers with bigger demands so that you will need to scale up your solution. Here is our office, by the way. It is located straight in the center of the city, St. Petersburg, Russia. And to be honest, I really miss it. For obvious reasons, I haven't visited it since the beginning of March. And I hope all of you stay safe during these times. Yep. So at the beginning of this year, we received a request to create a custom Instagram integration for the Star or Hotstar companies that, as far as I know, are owned by Disney nowadays. We have already implemented an integration between Instagram and Freshdesk previously, and it is available on the Freshdesk marketplace. However, it is mostly a full-page app, and it requires agents to visit it by opening a separate page. And most important of all, it doesn't create tickets based on Instagram comments automatically, as the customer requested. So here is the result. All regular Instagram users' new comments and replies are created to the connected Star or Hotstar Instagram accounts posts get imported as new tickets. Here is an example of such a comment-based ticket. The ticket description contains some Instagram post information like picture or media preview, the caption, and of course, the user's comment. There are also some reply-based tickets. As you can see, the reply that triggered creation of this particular ticket is highlighted, and the whole previous comment discussion thread is shown in order to provide full context for the agent. So here is how an agent can create a reply to a comment or reply on Instagram, simply by creating a public note in the Freshdesk's native user interface. Once the note is published, the onConversation create serverless event does its magic under the hood, and the created note is updated with some reply delivery status and styles. And here is how this replies looks on Instagram. So yeah, it's quite simple. In case the developer responds to agent's reply, private notes will be created in the same ticket. So all this was the primary concept behind the integration. So at the beginning of August, we were reached by the Freshworks team and were warned about the upcoming Indian Premier League season 2020. We have been provided with the following expectations that you can see on the screen based on the last year IPL 2019. So the numbers were quite high. All this meant that we needed to validate that our solution is capable of supporting such loads and numbers. Speaking of our solutions, here is how it used to work. When I started to work on the app, it was quite obvious that webhooks were required in order to create new Instagram-related tickets almost immediately after the Instagram users create their comments or replies. However, we faced the following problems. Facebook provides only one single input field for one single webhook URL entry. This means that this solution would work only with one instance of a custom Freshdesk app. But the customer Star is a big company that has multiple Freshdesk accounts. So they required our solution to work on multiple Freshdesk accounts at the same time. All this meant that we needed to create some sort of a middleware solution between Facebook and Freshdesk accounts. The incoming webhooks had to be routed to relevant Freshdesk accounts, keeping in mind that the same Instagram accounts could be configured on multiple Freshdesk accounts at once. And all this meant that the middleware solution had to know which webhooks should be routed to which Freshdesk accounts. Here is an example of a webhook object that is received from Facebook. As you may notice, it doesn't contain a lot of information, but it contains a very important ID at the top, which is an ID of an Instagram account the webhook is relevant to. I've selected a popular non-SQL database called MongoDB for storing so-called mapping objects. So here are examples of such objects on the screenshot. These objects contain both Instagram accounts IDs that are present in the webhooks, as I've just shown on the previous slide, and the target URLs that are generated by the Freshdesk apps and are actually the data input or trigger for the Freshdesk app event called onExternalEvent. In other words, you can send any object to such a target URL, and it will be handled by the onExternalEvent in case this serverless event is configured in the relevant Freshdesk custom app. So once a relevant mapping object, is found in our MongoDB based on the Instagram account business ID, the webhook data is sent to this target URL. If there are several mapping objects found for the Instagram account ID, the webhook will be forwarded to all of them. So so here are the features used by the Freshdesk custom app. First of all, it is the custom installation page with the ability to add multiple Facebook accounts, as you can see on the screen. Each account may have several Instagram accounts connected at the same time. So for example, you can see that there are 2 accounts like mine and someone else connected to the same single app. Each connected Facebook account may have multiple Instagram accounts connected too. Each Instagram account can be connected to a specific group in Freshdesk. This means that new tickets based on some specific Instagram account activity, such as new comments or replies, will be assigned to the specific group. Also, each selected Instagram account may have a whitelist of keywords that should trigger creation of new tickets. This means that if there are no keywords from the whitelist present in a new comment, the ticket will not get created. And if the whitelist is empty, then all comments or replies will trigger creation of tickets. One other feature worth mentioning is the workflow behind adding a new Facebook account. Once an agent clicks the Add Facebook Account button, he is redirected to a special web page on the middleware server. This special page uses Facebook's official JavaScript SDK in order to show a pop-up with suggestions to approve permissions or log into a different account. Once all actions are completed, the pop-up gets closed and the custom page interface is rendered again, but this time the new access token is available within the app. So here is a brief summary of the used features. First of all, it's the custom installation page, as I've already mentioned. Then it is the data storage that is used for storing different sorts of useful objects, like configuration objects, target URL, access tokens, and so on. Because there are many Instagram accounts connected to a single Freshdesk custom app instance at once, access tokens are stored in the data storage. And all this means that there are quite many data storage requests per minute. Then the app has multiple serverless events configured, like the on-app install for the app's unique target URL generation. This is, by the way, the target URL that is saved to MongoDB, as I've showed previously. There is an on-external event for capturing the incoming webhooks and handling them. Based on some data storage records, the webhooks can be converted either to a new Freshdesk ticket or into a private node to an existing ticket. Or the webhook can be simply dismissed in case it is triggered by the Freshdesk agent's reply to Instagram. Speaking of agents' names, they are captured by the onConversation create event. Oh, sorry. Speaking of agents' replies, they are captured by the onConversation create event and are sent to Facebook's Graph API. When an agent creates a new reply, an object is created containing the relevant ticket ID and is stored in the app's data storage. This means that the app is waiting for a regular user response to the agent's reply. So in case the very same Instagram user who originally created a comment that triggered creation of a new ticket creates a reply to the very same thread of comments on Instagram, the new webhook gets converted into a private node to an existing ticket. And the on-scheduled event checks for the access tokens health regularly and refreshes them in case they get old. I had to keep in mind quite many limits on all platforms involved in this integration. Facebook has its own limits, but this is something we cannot impact. Also, I can but say that luckily, Facebook limits are scalable and we've never reached them. As for the Freshdesk limits, here are the limits I had to consider. First of all, it's the regular external events limit, 250 requests per minute. Then it is the regular data storage limit, only 50 operations per minute. And last, serverless events execution time, 20 seconds for the on-conversation create and on-external events. So in order to make sure that these limits do not get faced by the app during peak times, I've performed multiple stages of high load simulation, 30, 60, and 100 requests per second. In this case, a request is a simulated webhook, of course. So I got the following results. Our Freshdesk custom apps data storage could not handle this many requests due to the 50 operations per minute limit, and finally throw the 429 error, too many requests. As for the external events, I've got the 429 errors too. So I needed to handle this. How? First of all, huge thanks to the Freshworks team for increasing the limits. The external events limit has been increased to 400 incoming webhooks per minute, while the data storage limit has been increased to 1200 operations per minute. That's 24 times the original limit. And of course, I had to make the following changes to our middleware solution. One of the most important bottlenecks was the Freshdesk app's on external events limit, 400 requests per minute. And what is a great way to handle a bottleneck, keeping in mind that the on external event execution time is also limited to 20 seconds. It's another bottleneck. I used a quite popular NPM package to implement this. This package is named bottleneck, obviously, and creates a couple of requests. For example, you can specify an amount of requests that should be sent out per minute. For example, our Freshdesk custom app can support only 400 external events per minute, which means that in case there are 500 webhooks per minute, all of the webhooks will get queued so that on the first 400 requests will be sent during the first minute, and another 100 requests will be sent during the next minute. Of course, I had to improve our middleware infrastructure a bit. I've configured a load balancer and the second identical VPS, which is named Droplets on DigitalOcean, as I've been using DigitalOcean for these purposes. By the way, shout out to Nitin from Freshworks for assistance with this. So here is an animated scheme of how a load balancer works. Incoming data is distributed equally between the two VPS we have, and in case one of them fails, the second one keeps operating. In all other cases, the incoming requests, they're just distributed evenly. Finally, our middleware solution looked like this. Incoming webhooks are received by the load balancer. The load balancer distributes these webhooks between the two droplets, which are VPS. Droplets request data from the MongoDB and forward the webhooks to particular Freshdesk accounts, custom apps, instances by sending requests to their unique target URLs. All this made our solution capable enough of handling huge loads of data. Another important step was to share all knowledge with my team. I shared a list of possible issues of different levels with Freshworks and the customer, created some really huge documentation articles, and held demo sessions with my teammates so that all of us would be ready to handle different levels of issues. However, I've also faced several difficulties during this project. First of them was the Facebook's Graph API deprecation that was used in the app. So I had to update the middleware solution and the Freshdesk custom apps to support the latest API version. The second issue was that my Freshdesk account got banned when I performed the simulated load tests, and I could not create any new tickets afterwards for a month or so. Yeah, so your word. Don't send it too many requests to your own external event. You can get banned. Yep. So I've used the following monitoring tools during the IPL. First of all, it was the Freshping, a useful free monitoring tool by Freshworks. I used the basic plan, and it was enough for my purposes. Also, I frequently checked the middleware health by visiting the DigitalOcean stats and the MongoDB stats. By the way, this is an example of a screenshot of DigitalOcean load balancer stats taken during the IPL. By the way, the maximum amount of requests per second was 7. As you may notice, the spikes show us when some new Instagram posts get published and users' activity increases a lot. For assistance, we used a Swedish voice over IP provider called Saluna, so we were ready to support 24/7. And of course, a separate Freshdesk account has been configured for incoming emails in case something goes wrong. Luckily for us, everything was fine and our solution was stable enough. No calls and no support tickets received, luckily. And by the way, here are some IPL-related posts that caused most of the load. You can check the amounts of comments that had to be handled by our solution during the peak times. Yeah, I would like to say thanks to Freshworks team for assistance during this project. I would like to especially thank Pankaj Narang for the ability to respond to my assistant requests fast, for long debugging sessions together, and for following my instructions during these sessions. I would also like to thank Nitin for the infrastructure optimization and improvements recommendations. Huge thanks to Raviraj for assistance with increasing the Freshdesk apps limits. And thanks to Narayan for coordinating this project. And thanks to everyone involved in this project. Huge thanks to everyone in Swedbyte team for participating in this project too. And thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, you can ask them now in chat or contact me by any of the following methods below. So yeah, here are my contacts links. And yep, thank you.